everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Dance Talk Realness, a podcast where we discuss all nuances concerning education and dance, because a dance experience is an experience worth talking about. I'm your host, Truly, and unfortunately, I don't have Daryl with me on this one, but it's okay. This one's a quick, short one for you. Today, I'm bringing you tip number 3 in our mini-series of making the leap beyond making the leap to do more beyond the classroom. So today's tip is stay or go. The choice is yours. So by that, I mean, you may not have to choose actually. Like you can potentially do both. Um, from personal experience, I did have to go in order to accomplish what I wanted. However, you do have educators. Daryl is the perfect example of being able to both stay within the classroom and do work beyond. So that can take many different forms. So, for example, if let's say you're only looking for maybe part-time or like small performance opportunities or just extra teaching opportunities, then definitely that's a case that I would say you would have a better chance of making it work, staying in your current location and still being able to do more beyond the classroom. The same with if you're looking for doing more choreography based projects, you can make that fit depending upon what the project is. I would say it's maybe about 3 going on 4 years now. Wow, it is a whole new 2022, y'all. So in 2018, I was working with a program based out of DC, and I was 100% still in the classroom. And the reason why I chose that program, one of the main reasons is because the courses were in the evening. I could schedule all of my rehearsals in the evening or on the weekends, and it wouldn't impact my daily teaching schedule. It also gave me an opportunity to give a performance opportunity to my students. So there were students who I would be teaching during the day, who I would then see again later that evening or later on over the weekend at rehearsal. And so that balance for that time in my life worked perfectly. I was still in that moment pretty fulfilled teaching in the public school system. I wasn't quite ready to leave. I was starting to get kind of that itch that's like, I need to be doing something else. But I would say about 90%, I was still very much in it, still enjoying it, still really trying to pour into that. But I did also want to maintain my connection with the dance community in the area. I also wanted to maintain my skill set of setting choreography that didn't have the same red tape and restrictions that choreography set in the school system has. Way back early at the beginning of this podcast, one of the early episodes, I interviewed a Miss Jackie Martin. Hey, Jackie, miss you, boo. And she was one of the only teachers in the county who she could choreograph on her high school students in a way that we were just like, ma'am, the rest of us would lose our jobs. Like it would be tragic. But she had that relationship with the students, with the parents, with the administration, and it worked for her and the area she was teaching in. So, not to say it's impossible, but I think that thing is very rare. Yeah, Jackie's the only person I've ever met that could do that level and that caliber of choreography with the messages, the costuming, the music, movement choices. She's the only person I've met that's been able to swing that and not get in trouble. I've seen other people swing it, but they got in trouble. So, some folks be super blessed in that area. I was not that person. I did stuff and got in trouble all the time. So it was just like, So being able to have this outside opportunity that still allowed me to, not leave my students, not leave my job, was very beneficial. Fast forward, shoot, a year pretty much. Um, and I was now in a different headspace. I was very much in a space where I was like, okay, I don't want to stay anymore though. Ugh. So at that point, 2019, I did make the decision to no longer stay, that I needed to go in order to fulfill what it was I felt was my calling, what I needed to do, which turned out being exactly what needed to happen. Um, One of the things that I had to take into consideration is overstaying my welcome. And that is something that I've talked about with friends and other colleagues. Um, this idea of staying past the time that you're supposed to stay. There are people who they are meant to stay in programs for, 10, 20, 30 years, like do their whole career there. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I am definitely not a believer in, if you don't move around a lot, then you're settling. No. If you find where you're supposed to be, child, be there, live that best life, like enjoy that. But if you're not where you're supposed to be, that's when you need to be willing to cut ties and go. And sometimes that cutting ties is like a very clean cut, like I have no more communication with y'all, we off this. And sometimes it's more of a, okay, I'm just going to cut the bulk of this string, and it's like this one little thread, this little hair holding us together, because I'm still connected to you. However, I'm out. um for me, leaving the school system felt like it was a clean cut, but what I wanted was to still have the connection. So I'm working on it, finessing things back in. Um, I still maintained my connections with the majority of the other educators who I was already close with. Um, but like administration, I ain't talked to none of them. Like for what? For why? Um, I am still in contact with my former supervisor. I actually do need to hit her up. That is a thing. Because, like I've said before, my goal in moving higher up the chain in education was to be able to reach back. Um, when I was teaching middle school, maybe a little bit, but definitely when I was teaching high school, I wanted to be able to do things for the middle school students who would be coming in, because I wanted to be able to reach back and give them something to not only look forward to once they made it into high school, but also to give them something to like pour into them while they were still in middle school. So they will want to look further when they came over to the high school. And so teaching high school, I then started to get that urge to do that on the collegiate level. So I could not only build up what's happening on the high school side and give them like opportunities, but also show them what options are out there. There are so many people misinforming students that dance is not a career path, and it's a whole ass lie. It's like, hey, yo, like, but it is though. My degrees are all in this. Like, I literally went to school to do this thing. Like, you can go to school to do this thing too, if that's what you want. There's many a different program. You got options. You can go for performance if you want to. You can go for education. You can go for dance therapy. Hey, yo, anyone out there who you are trying to decide, and dance therapy is an option you're looking at, yeah, you should go ahead, do that. If that's on your spirit, go do that. Go look into that some more. Go do that though, because that is a field that we need more people in. Like, help us, please, and thank you. Part of me kind of wishes I would have known more about the option of doing dance therapy. But at this point in life, I'm like, child, once I finish this PhD, I'm not trying to do no more school, no more certifications, no more nothing. I'm just trying to live my life, do some research, write some documents, publish a thing or two. I just ain't trying to do school again. It's been a lot. the PhD is taking it out of me. I've loved school up until this point, and now it's just like, oh, all right. I think we've reached the pinnacle of this, of being in school. I'll continue to be a lifelong learner, but in this type of setting, nah, I'm good. It's cool. But I digress. So I wanted to, teaching college level, be able to reach back. And so the only way I was going to be able to really get in to a position where I would have more pull to be able to reach back to those high schoolers was going to be for me to choose to go. Um, and one of the things with when you're trying to decide whether to stay or go, when I say the choice is yours, I mean the choice is yours. Not only as in you have to decide, like you have to say to whoever, hey, yo, 2 week notice, I'm dipping. Like, but you also have to look at what your goals are and what your gut feeling is. Um, you should not feel forced to have to go. If you genuinely feel that, you know what, yeah, I can stay and like make this work. I can stay and do this and also still pour into this. I'm not shortchanging anything. I'm not cheating anything. I'm not cutting corners anywhere. I'm able to do all of this and I'm still able to take care of myself and like really make sure that self-care is still a priority and like I am happy and healthy doing these things, then stay. Like you don't have to go. And you shouldn't feel forced into that decision. Um, Now I know, situations can arise where you get forced to do one or the other. So we're not talking about that. But when you are able to make a decision and that decision is resting solely on you, you don't have to go. You can stay if that balance is there. And just like on the flip side, or I mean, you don't have to go, you can stay. I think I said that right. And then reverse, that you don't have to stay, you can go. And you shouldn't feel guilted into staying. I've covered, I think, a little bit on the first 2 tips that I definitely was getting guilt tripped once I really started putting out there that I was gonna go. I got guilt tripped by students, parents, administration, colleagues, family, friends, everybody and their mama literally had something to say about me making the decision to go. And in the process of everyone having something to say, not their person really checked to see if I was okay. Not one person was like, okay, so where are you mentally with this? Like, what is the pull? What do you feel would be best? It was always about what would be most beneficial to them or most beneficial to the students or most beneficial to the program, most beneficial to the school, most beneficial to the school system. Like it was always everybody else but me, and nobody was checking for me. I mean, my therapist was, but I'm not counting her in that because she's a therapist, so that's what she do. And for a while, I definitely was still considering maintaining that stay in place and trying to see if I could figure out another way to do the balance. And the couple breaking points we've discussed before, the situation that occurred involving students and their parents making assumptions, being asses, and how that was, I was like, oh, that's what we're going to do? Oh, I don't really have to do this. Like, I am very qualified to be elsewhere. I have all the things. Not only do I have the degrees, but I also have the experience and I have the skills to do something else. I choose to do this because I love it. So the thing that really made me make the snap decision was having the conversation with my supervisor, and she was pressing me for an answer right then. Now, to be honest, I still had a week. Like I had a calendar week before I had to turn in a decision. And she was hammering me. It's like, well, I need to know what you're going to do. And I was like, well, fine, I'm leaving. That's it. I'm going to go. And did I like being pushed? like that? Not at all. Because again, I say I had a week. But to be fair, I potentially would have dragged it out and been so much more miserable had I not been. So I can now look back and say thank you to Tamisha for that, because had she not kept asking, I probably would have stayed. Now that would have been kind of beneficial to her and the program and the school and students and blah 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 blah. And I say kind of because I would have been half-assing. Like I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do it anymore. And I would have only been staying to please everyone else. And I would have been miserable. And that would have read across every single thing that I did. So in the grand scheme of things, that last meeting, that last push, that last like, hey, yo, like just stop fucking talking to me. Like stop asking me these questions. All right, bye. That's what you want. Bye. I'm out. That actually was the best thing ever, because I knew I needed to go. I knew I wanted to go, but I was unfortunately willing to stay to please everyone else. And so, again, the choice is yours. And again, I'm not talking about situations where you have like heavy weighted factors. If I genuinely thought that my kids would not survive in this world if I left, I wouldn't have left. That would have been a heavy weighted situation. Like, we gonna wait till I know these kids would be good. But I felt sure that, the kids would still be fed, would still have a roof over their head, like they would still be taken care of. So I was able to make that decision. So when you're in a place where you have the capability to make the decision, make that decision based upon yourself. And that ties back into tip number one of choosing yourself unapologetically. Like, you know what you want and what you need. You just need to be able to spend time with yourself and really meditate on it, really pray about it, and really be clear on what it is you need to do, and then move from that place. And then my final note with that is to be sure and be firm. So, with being sure, you may never be 100% sure of what you're going to do, how it's going to pan out, but you can be sure that you're going to take a step forward. You can be sure that you're going to stay where you are and find these additional outlets. You can be sure that you're going to leave where you are and really dive fully into what the next thing is, whether you know exactly what that next thing is or not. You can just be sure that you're going to make a move. So being sure doesn't mean you have all the answers. Child, I left that job with the school system without a job lined up. I did not have the St. Mary's location lined up. That thing ain't come to like a month later. I was concerned for my well-being because I was like, oh, yo, I really said this. Like, I really done ended this employment and I ain't got nothing. I'm like, oh my God. But it worked out. Because I meditated on it, I prayed about it, and I knew I needed to move. I was sure about that. I just had to keep, putting things in the atmosphere and keep making sure I was putting myself in a position to be aligned with whatever would come. And thankfully, maybe about a month and a week later, I was signing a contract. So being sure, again, does not mean you know exactly what's going to come next. I mean, and if you do, God bless, because that is an amazing feeling when you actually know what's about to come next. It's great. Enjoy it, savor it. But when you don't know what's coming next, but you just know you have to do something, be very sure in yourself that that feeling is valid and that feeling is what you need to go with. Like, you do need to move if that's what you feel. If you feel that you do need to stay, then that's what you need to do. You need to stay. But you need to be very sure in what it is you need and what your moves need to be. As far as being firm, once you decide, like, you know what, I'm staying and I'm gonna make this work, then commit. The same with if you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go, I'm out. Commit. Be very firm in, I'm doing what's best for me. And this is coming from someone who is still learning how to do that. You're going to piss somebody off. Eh, it is what it is. They were probably going to be pissed with you either way. So you may as well make sure you're at least doing what's good for you. Because if they're going to be pissed, they're going to be pissed. Let them be. When you are being firm, now you don't have to be a jackass, but when you are being firm, so let's say you decide, you know what, I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna make these other outside things work. You may get those who are like, okay, well, are you sure you need to be doing all this extra stuff? Are you sure you need to be looking for these performances, for these choreography opportunities, for these additional teaching things? Maybe you should just focus on where you are. And if you have decided that, you know what, yeah, actually, I do want to focus on these other things because that's what will fulfill me, then be firm in that. Don't waver in that. Don't say, oh, well, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I'll just wait a little bit longer to look for this additional job or to look for this additional opportunity. Maybe I'll just wait because, maybe there'll be something else that'll come up. You don't know that something else is going to come up. You don't know that. You don't know what's going to happen. And so if you don't know what's going to happen, either way, you may as well go for it because it is better for you to go for it. And if you didn't get it, at least you tried, then you didn't go for it. And you're always wondering, well, what if? Or maybe this would have happened. That uncertainty, I would just rather not ever live with. I don't like being uncertain about things that I could have had power to impact. If it's something I had no power over, then, it's like thoughts and prayers. We just gonna hope for the best. But if I had the power to actually impact which way that was gonna go, and I didn't take it because I was trying to please someone else, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be bitter. I'm going to have that resentment. And I'm going to be the one holding on to those feelings because they don't care. Not to say people don't care about you, but people don't really be caring about your feelings like that. Like, just ain't gonna hold you. They just really don't. And even like your closest loved ones, nobody's gonna ever care about you more than you do, or they shouldn't. Let me say it like that, because there are some instances, but we're not gonna talk about that in this moment. It does come up. It does happen. But as a general rule of thumb, you have to care about you and take care of you. And it's not that you have to do that in such a way that you cut everybody else off and you don't care about nobody else, but you have to prioritize yourself because that also helps other people see how they should prioritize you. So be very firm in your decisions, be very firm in your commitments. The same with when you decide to go. It's like, hey, yeah, no. Because you're going to get those who's like, well, do you have a job lined up? Like, do you know where you're going to go? What are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about that? Well, maybe you should just wait a little bit longer. Wait until this. And you just need to be like, but actually, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to head out. I'm going to be over there because that's what I need to do. And I understand your concern, but also I'm going to go. And that I've been on both ends of that it was just like, yeah, no, actually, this is what I want to do. And then when the things went great and in my favor, they were just like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, my guy, yeah, I told you this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's the other thing about being very firm and being very sure about the choices that you make for you. Your choice for you is your choice for you. What your calling isn't somebody else's. And even when you have people who are very well-meaning, like I know I do have some friends who, they shoot down a lot of stuff that I want to do, but I know that they're doing it because I always do the most. And so it's just like, that's fair. I understand you're trying to help me not overwhelm myself. But at the end of the day, the decisions that I make that I feel are in my best interest are the decisions that I am making to be in my best interest. They're not for someone else's best interest, in the sense of if I decide to take a job over like in Germany, then I'm not saying that every dance teacher I know should also look for positions in Germany. That may not be for them. Like, and that's fine. Like when I was deciding that I was going to like do all these extra showcases and all this stuff outside of teaching, I'm not saying every dance educator should. I'm not saying everybody should look for these outside opportunities because that may not be for them. When I decided to leave, I'm not saying every educator needs to move to the collegiate level. It ain't for everybody. They're like, for like, again, I will never get over the fact that for some people, middle school is really their zone. Like that is for them. And I'm like, God bless, because it ain't never been mine. I hated anything less than high school. I was like, why y'all up in here with these kids? I don't like kids. That was my takeaway. I was like, yo, I don't like kids. I love my personal kids because they are mine. But other people's kids, I was like, I don't want to do this. Like every day, I gotta keep them back. Y'all tripping. Y'all got me messed up. So it's just like some people be out here really enjoying it, like living their best life. Like my mother was one of them. Like she middle school math, and I was like, first of all, you love teaching math. That's a whole separate conversation in itself. But I'm like, you really like this age group? And she's like, high school. And I'm like, what do you mean? I love it. I'm like, give me the teenagers, give me the young adults. I got them. Them little people who are just trying to figure out what the world is. I don't want to figure that out with you right now. Child, let me help these other ones figure out what the rest of the world is. Y'all trying to figure out a different part of the world. I'm trying to help you figure out this one. I'm gonna be over here where I'm supposed to be. And so just being very clear in your choices for you are for you. Just like that person who loves teaching kindergarten, God bless them. Wow. Wow. I've come across some amazing kindergarten teachers that I'm just like, Jesus, this is your calling. Like, this is you. It ain't me though. I'm like, I don't want this little kid touching me, hugging me, nothing. I ain't gonna wipe your nose. I ain't trying to help you get to the bathroom. I ain't trying to do none of this. I don't care if you know your ABCs, child. I need you to know them before you got to me. That's just who I am and how I am. The same way that that's their calling, my calling is being with older students. And those same people look at me like, how do you deal with the attitudes? How do you deal with the hormones? How do you deal with them doing X, Y, and Z? And I'm just like, I deal with it. Like, it's just what I do because that's where I'm supposed to be. Like, that's my calling. And so that's where I go. And so you have to be very clear with yourself, be very sure of what it is you need and where you should go. And then once you have that clarity, then be just very firm in, I know what I need. I know what I want. I may not know how to get there yet. I may not know where there is yet, but I know that I'm on the right path and I'm heading the right direction. And regardless of what is best for somebody else, you know what's going to be best for you. And make sure you pour into that and feed that. So that way, when you make that choice to stay or go, you know you're coming from a place of a good intention of being very clear on, yeah, I'm going to be all right because I know this is where I'm supposed to be headed. I am sure and I am firm in it. I know this is for me. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Quick recap. So far, we have had, for number one, choose yourself unapologetically. Number two, research and reach out. Both of them. And three, stay or go. The choice is yours. So we look forward to bringing you some fresh new content next week. If you have any questions, comments, observations, feel free to drop us a line across all the places where you can find us. Hit up that IG, y'all, at Dance Talk Realness. And excuse me, be sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe across all the places where you can find us. And we will be bringing you tip 4 next time. All right, y'all be safe out there. Bye.